You sense a massive weight lifting from your spirit almost overnight. It feels as if an ancient hold on your life has dissolved. The struggle that once pinned you down has no power anymore. Chosen ones, God is showing you that what was once an unbreakable curse is now shattered, and your ancestors are rejoicing at this pivotal victory. Stay with me for at least 12 minutes because by the end of this message, you'll grasp why your entire fate has transformed in ways you never thought possible. Right now, I need you to like this message, subscribe, and comment 77 below to signal to the universe you're open to this seismic shift. Then in a natural tone, leave another comment. Ready for what's next as your bold confirmation? If you do, prepare for an immediate wave of tangible blessings to enter your life. Chapter 1. You felt the chains of a generational burden. You carried a sense of burden you couldn't quite name, an invisible chain that seemed to follow you everywhere. Maybe it was the feeling that no matter how hard you tried, some hidden force was dragging you back into old patterns, poverty mindsets, toxic relationships, or a persistent fear of betrayal. You suspected a curse of some sort, and truthfully, you might have been right. Generational baggage can pass through DNA, learned behaviors, and spiritual bonds you never asked for but inherited anyway. Each time you tried to break free, it felt like wading through molasses, as though an entire lineage of unresolved issues weighed heavily on your shoulders. God saw you in that struggle. Your ancestors, many of whom battled similar demons, watched with held breath, waiting for the day a champion in the bloodline would finally prevail. You couldn't see it then, but in your darkest nights, your spirit guides were orchestrating small miracles, nudging you to read that empowering book, prompting a stranger to say the right words at the right moment, or urging you to sever ties with people who only fed the curse. Each sign was their silent way of pushing you toward the realization, you're the one we've been waiting for. At times, you wondered if you were just broken. You looked around at others who didn't carry your level of anxiety or cyclical misfortune. Some breezed through life while you stumbled over repetitive conflicts. It hurt to feel like you were fighting a war no one else even acknowledged. Shame snuck in, telling you maybe it was your own fault. But your heart refused to give up. Something within you, call it a spark of divine resilience, kept you holding on, kept you searching for answers beyond the limits your environment set. Then came the subtle shifts. A new mindset, a release of bitterness, a prayer set in total surrender. You noticed small but powerful breakthroughs, unexpected financial relief, a moment of pure inner peace, or the release of a grudge that freed you overnight from nightmares. Each shift, though tiny in isolation, stacked upon the last until it formed a platform strong enough to stand on. Your brokenness became the very pathway to your strength, and God worked this burden into generational blessings. That was the start of your unstoppable momentum. It didn't require a flamboyance in ritual or a massive spectacle. Instead, it was the cumulative effect of every heartfelt decision, choosing forgiveness over rage, faith over cynicism, and action over apathy. The invisible chains loosened their grip day by day, and eventually you realized they were no longer there. You walked more lightly, dreamed more boldly, and sensed a deep shift in your destiny. You broke the curse, often without even realizing the magnitude of what you had done. Now your ancestors stand in awe, singing your praises in the unseen realm, celebrating this radical departure from centuries of limitation. And it's only the beginning. Chapter 2. You're discovering how your ancestors align for your success. You carried an old belief that you were alone in this fight. Every burden felt like it fell squarely on you, leaving you isolated in your struggles. But as you look back, you start to see subtle synchronicities that guided you toward healing. Perhaps a friend recommended a book about breaking generational curses exactly when you needed it, or an unexpected sum of money appeared just when you were about to quit your dream. These events seem too precisely timed to be mere coincidence. Chosen ones, your ancestors were working in tandem with God to orchestrate these seeming miracles. Even those ancestors who never broke the curse themselves still wished for a descendant who could. In the spirit realm, they're not bound by the fears and limiting beliefs that plague them in life. Now they're an integral part of your support team, cheering you on as you step onto a path they once believed was out of reach. Why you? Perhaps your spirit was always different, more sensitive, more persistent, more daring to question the status quo. While family members might have scoffed at your dreams, the invisible cloud of ancestral wisdom recognized your unique resolve. You have the fierce heart of a warrior who refuses to accept "it's always been this way" as a valid reason to remain stuck. This open-mindedness became the spiritual funnel through which centuries of wisdom could pour into you, fueling your determination to rewrite your family's fate. Many of your ancestors tried to bring change but were thwarted by circumstances, fear, or the society of their time. Their attempts left behind seeds of transformation that lay dormant until someone with the right heart conditions, someone like you, could water them with faith and action. Now those seeds have sprouted, leading you to experiences, people, and resources that have propelled you further in a few years than entire generations advanced in centuries. How do you tap more deeply into this ancestral alignment? Prayer, meditation, or a simple moment of stillness can tune your ears to the guidance they eagerly provide. In moments of doubt, you might sense a soft presence nudging you to keep going. When confusion grips your mind, you might get a powerful dream that clarifies your next steps. These are not random flights of fancy. They're the collective voice of those who came before you, calling from a realm where the limitations of time and space no longer exist. Now that you've broken the curse your ancestors have, they transition from watchers to celebrators, from mourners of a stuck lineage to revelers in its release. They're urging you not to minimize your victory. Large or small, your strides have cosmic implications. The spiritual chains that held your bloodline captive have dissolved in the face of your determination, your unwavering prayers, and your courageous steps. Celebrate that reality. Honor the ancestors who, despite their own failures, laid the subtle groundwork for you to triumph. You've done what once seemed impossible, and they couldn't be prouder. Chapter 3. You must leave behind the scarcity mindset that tied you down. You learned certain narratives from birth, maybe that money is always scarce, love is always conditional, or safety is an elusive dream. These narratives anchored themselves in your psyche, handed down like heirlooms you never asked for. Even after you spotted them as lies, they clung like shadows, telling you not to aim too high, not to trust too deeply, not to hope too freely. This was part of the inherited curse, a scarcity mindset that sabotaged you whenever you drew close to a breakthrough. So you adjusted your aspirations downward, fearing disappointment more than stagnation. You avoided bigger opportunities because someone told you they were not for people like us. In relationships, you settled for crumbs because you'd been taught that a feast was never meant for your table. This was how the curse kept replicating itself, through patterns of limitation so normalized you rarely questioned them. But now, as you stand on new spiritual ground, you feel friction each time you revert to old limiting beliefs. It's like wearing shoes 2 sizes too small. You physically sense that something's off, that you're no longer that impoverished soul who scrapes by on minimal blessings. Chosen ones, your ancestors are thrilled to see you rejecting the scarcity that once starved your entire lineage. Every time you choose an abundant thought or take a grand action, you're dismantling centuries of lack. Abundance isn't just about money. It's an overarching lens through which you perceive your potential. It's about recognizing that God's grace is limitless, that love can expand rather than diminish with each new relationship, and that your creativity is a well with no bottom. Once you realize this, truly realized it, your entire vibe changed. You stopped panicking about bills. You started donating freely. You said yes to that dream project. The universe, noticing your elevated frequency, responded in kind. Of course, the old scarcity ghosts don't vanish overnight. They resurface in moments of stress, trying to lure you back into survival mode. But you've tasted the richness of a new dimension. You've manifested solutions where none seem possible, found comfort in times of emotional drought, and gleaned from your own prayers that you are indeed worthy. Resist the voice that says you're an imposter in this new life. If you weren't meant to be here, the gates wouldn't have opened for you. It's vital to guard your words and your environment. If your speech is saturated with phrases like, I can't afford that, or there's never enough, you risk breathing life back into the curse. Instead, affirm what your spirit knows. Abundance is your birthright. If certain friends or family cling to negative cycles, you may need to minimize those influences. While you can pray for them, you cannot allow their scarcity mindsets to erode your newly found freedom. Every day, remind yourself that your ancestors, some who lived and died in lack, are now celebrating your escape from that fate. They champion your leaps of faith into bigger projects, better relationships, and grand visions. In honoring their memory, you prove that their struggles were not in vain and that your lineage can thrive in this season of prosperity. Chapter 4. You're called to publicly acknowledge your victory. You once felt compelled to hide your accomplishments, either to keep the peace or avoid scrutiny. Maybe you believed that celebrating yourself was prideful. But understand this, your story isn't just for you. The world needs living testimonies of individuals who've destroyed generational curses and shifted entire bloodlines. By openly acknowledging how far you've come, you ignite a spark of possibility in others. Think about the times you felt utterly defeated. Remember how a single person's success story revived your hope? That's the torch you now carry. You're not bragging when you share that you overcame crippling cycles of abuse, financial instability, or emotional torment. You're shining a light into someone else's darkness, showing them a path they didn't see before. Your ancestors want you to be bold in this. They endured hardships for centuries, hoping someone, anyone, would finally transcend them. Now that you have, you do a disservice by pretending it's no big deal. And yes, you'll meet naysayers. They'll label your progress as luck, downplay your achievements, or scoff that you're exaggerating. Don't let them stifle your voice. Every triumph over negativity is another nail in the coffin of the curse you broke. If no one spoke up to contradict the cynic, hopelessness would reign supreme. One confident voice proclaiming, "It is possible," can dismantle endless layers of doubt. Public acknowledgement can happen in ways both grand and subtle. You could speak at a community center, share on social media, or have a heart-to-heart with a friend who's on the brink of giving up. The format isn't what matters. It's the authenticity with which you deliver the message. Let them see your scars, your vulnerabilities, your lingering anxieties. Your credibility lies in having lived through the trials, not in painting a perfect facade. There's a supernatural element here too. Declaring victory in front of others imprints that reality deeper into your spirit. Words have power. When you say, "I broke this generational curse," you lock that truth into the physical realm. It's similar to how affirmations work. The more you say it, the more you believe it, and the more the universe rearranges itself around that truth. Meanwhile, your ancestors stand behind you like a joyful choir, amplifying your statement with their combined spiritual might. This isn't about attention-seeking. It's about stewardship of the miracle. God gave you an extraordinary gift, the end of a lineage-long bondage. Remaining silent keeps that gift hidden, which does little for the world that desperately needs hope. Each time you share your breakthrough, you deposit faith into someone else's spirit. In a very real sense, you become the living embodiment of the verse. Let your light shine before others. So step out and speak up. If your heart trembles, remember whose lineage you're representing. The same unstoppable force that empowered you to break the curse will embolden you to celebrate it publicly. You have a right, no, a responsibility to own your story without shame or apology. The ones who are truly meant to hear you will find you, and they'll cling to your words like a lifeline, ready to fight their own battles and join the liberation. Chapter 5. You must solidify your new path through daily practices. Breaking a curse doesn't ensure lasting freedom unless you change the habits that once bound you. You've done the major spiritual work. Now, daily discipline preserves it. Think of a chain once attached to your ankle. If you keep walking in the same small circle, you never roam the open field of possibility. Start by transforming your mornings. If you wake to old routines, scrolling through negative news or stewing in grudges, you resurrect the mindset you fought to escape. Instead, adopt a sacred ritual, whether prayer, journaling, or reading something uplifting. Anchor each day in the truth that you're no longer confined. Your environment also matters. Don't fill your space with symbols of lack or pain. Consider discarding items that trigger old memories. Rearrange furniture or introduce fresh colors that convey peace and hope. Each visual cue reinforces that you've stepped onto new ground. Boundaries in relationships are vital. If certain individuals drag you into drama or toxic patterns, limit their influence. Offer love without surrendering your progress. Protect the blessings you fought for by refusing to indulge in gossip, negativity, or repetitive conflicts. Take your physical well-being seriously. As a chosen one, your body carries your divine assignment. Poor diet, lack of rest, and ignoring exercise can diminish your fresh vibrancy. Even small changes, like a short daily walk or healthier meals, reflect and reinforce your spiritual renewal. The synergy of a cleansed soul and a healthy body is powerful. Mentorship or community is another key. Seek out supportive people instead of waiting for them to appear. Join spiritual groups or volunteer where your purpose shines. Surrounding yourself with like-minded allies keeps you accountable and celebrates your growth without envy. Finally, stay watchful, but not fearful. A broken curse can try to reassert itself in subtle ways. Fatigue, self-doubt, or unsettling dreams. Take these as indicators to fortify your practices. Pray more, reset boundaries, or book a counseling session. Each step is a stitch that repairs any tear in your new spiritual fabric. By weaving these routines into your life, you ensure that your hard-won freedom isn't a fleeting victory, but a sustainable reality. Daily discipline transforms your open field of possibility into a permanent home. Chapter 6. Your position to lead others out of darkness. You never asked to be an example, but here you are. Fate changed, curse shattered, ancestors celebrating. Your journey is now a roadmap for those trapped in generational strongholds. God elevates chosen ones because their stories carry life-altering wisdom. Your next call is to guide others who seek true deliverance, not a quick fix. It doesn't mean you must preach unless you're called. Leadership can take many forms: heartfelt chats, social media, community workshops, or simply living so authentically that others feel the shift. You've already led by example. Now share the practical steps that anchored you through darkness. If you overcame financial curses, guide someone struggling with debt. If you healed toxic relationships, mentor those trapped in the same cycle. Turn personal breakthroughs into communal blessings. Chosen ones often face more intense tests because the stakes are higher. Your unwavering faith amid adversity is proof of what's possible. People notice, he didn't just talk about hope, he lived it. Even skeptics may quietly think, if they did it, maybe I can too, sparking a chain reaction of healing well beyond your circle. Expect some to resent your freedom. They might dismiss your victories or insist you were never truly cursed. That disbelief doesn't erase your reality. Not everyone is ready to leave the comfort of familiar suffering. Offer compassion, not arguments. Over time, they may come to you for insight. This new leadership role demands humility. The danger is believing you alone conquered the darkness. Remember your ancestral backing, divine help, and the inner grit God shaped in you. Acknowledging these keeps you grounded, attracting people who value authenticity over ego. As you embrace these responsibilities, be mindful of your limits. You can't pour from an empty cup. While sharing wisdom, replenish yourself through prayer, study, or fellowship with others on a similar journey. Bleeding from exhaustion can trigger old habits and muddle your message. Stay aligned with the higher power that freed you, leading from divine overflow rather than personal depletion. Be open to making a difference through small acts. A conversation that shifts someone's worldview or a kind gesture that reignites hope. Often, the most heroic work of a chosen one unfolds quietly in living rooms or online chats. You are the living proof of what's possible, and people crave genuine role models. Embrace this calling fully. Your ancestors cleared a path for you. Now you get to do the same for those stepping into freedom. Chapter 7. You are stepping into an era of greater blessings and unshakable peace. After years of battling to survive, you've emerged into a new era. The curse is broken, Your lineage is elevated, and your ancestors celebrate. With heaviness lifted, you're free to explore life without constant spiritual assaults. This dawn brings blessings as answers to purposeful callings rather than desperate escapes. Challenges won't vanish entirely, but they'll no longer define you. Your battles now focus on forging deeper faith, emotional intelligence, and bold visions. It's like leaving remedial lessons behind for higher studies, where stakes and rewards are greater. In this season of blessings, your mind shifts to expect provision, trusting that God's flow aligns with your efforts. Opportunities appear almost supernaturally. A timely job offer, supportive relationships, and bursts of creative inspiration. Rather than agony, ideas emerge with divine ease. Peace marks this new phase. More than the absence of conflict, it's a calm center that stands firm through life's storms. Where you once panicked, you now pause, breathe, and respond with grace. Having confronted generational darkness and triumphed, you stand unafraid. Ghosts banished. Don't sabotage this serenity by revisiting chaos you've outgrown. Your ancestors, once bound by those struggles, rejoice in your rise. Each day is a chance to deepen into the blessings you've unlocked. So resist guilt or unworthiness that tempts you back into old cycles. This new era also carries responsibility. Blessings aren't trophies for your ego, they're resources for your mission. Elevated finances, food, and energy are tools for growth and service. With divine guidance, these gifts multiply, uplifting your community and beyond. Living in this season feels like finally exhaling after a long submersion. Freed from ancestral burdens, you stand taller, breathe easier, and see farther. You see life can be abundant, not merely bearable. Gratitude fills each step, for centuries of pain ended with you. Remember that the hardest trials you endured were preparing you for this time, forging inner strength beyond measure. Your legacy spells deliverance, not doom. Continue nurturing your spirit with prayer and reflection, listening for divine instructions. Each obedient step draws new blessings and fortifies your peace. You've been entrusted with these gifts to spark hope and transformation everywhere you go. Your ancestors' joy reverberates, celebrating your breakthrough as it liberates the lineage. Step forward in confidence, for you walk in a destiny of greater blessings and unshakable peace. In this era, your prayers might take new forms, focusing on gratitude and discernment. As you align your intentions with this divine flow, you may find deeper clarity about your life's purpose. Connections that once eluded you feel natural and grounded, reflecting how far you've come. By nurturing your spiritual practices, each day becomes an unfolding gift. Even amid change, you remain deeply anchored to an enduring promise. Your ancestors' legacy now finds new life in you. Embrace it fully and let your light bless those who cross your path. Each step resonates through your lineage, amplifying the blessings you carry.